Similar scenario is occurring in North Korea. They too are encircled by U.S. military bases. The U.S. practices massive war games on the borders of North Korea, China, and Russia, and those are never mentioned in the media. They don't tell you about the massive war games that have been going on the borders of these countries. No wonder that people are frightened. No wonder they think a nuclear weapon might protect them, even though it just makes the problem worse. And not to mention the endless Middle East wars that are costing trillions upon trillions. Most alarmingly, the U.S. is escalating tensions with these nuclear-armed nations. And a recent UN study said the threat of nuclear weapon detonation event in 2017 is arguably at its highest in the 26 years since the collapse of the Soviet Union. This return to Cold War-like confrontational postures has hindered international cooperation and confidence building. It's as if many people have forgotten what mutually assured destruction means. We hear about how crazy North Korean leaders are, but some of their actions are understandable. After their country was destroyed in the Korean War, they've since lived with constant military threat. And in that context, nuclear deterrence does make some sense. Also, what message did the United States send to North Korea when it overthrew Libya, a nation that abandoned its nuclear weapons program? This reinforces the dark logic of deterrence and undermines the rationale for eliminating nuclear weapons programs. As a nation, our moral authority on disarmament is hollow. The previous and current administrations have revived the Cold War, committing to $1 trillion modernization program to upgrade the nuclear arsenal. Great strides for nuclear abolition have been made, but in recent years we took a giant step back. The problem is the war profiteer complex, transcending both parties, with benefits from endless war and manufactured tension, not to mention record arms deals to dictatorships like Saudi Arabia. We also have an unpredictable and unpopular president on top of it. Unfortunately, one thing can rapidly improve presidential popularity: war. There is potential for war to expand further, and with movement toward war with Iran and North Korea, war with the latter promises to be especially horrific, with the possibility of thousands or millions of dead Koreans, not to mention the possibility that North Korea could actually deliver a bomb to an American city. The greatest danger is, though, the cumulative effect of these wars could reach a critical mass, a boiling point, where World War does break out, with unthinkable nuclear exchange. But with that said, let us discuss a glimmer of hope. On July 7th, 122 countries approved a treaty to ban nuclear weapons. We should give it up for those 122 countries. And this treaty will actually likely be ratified next month after 50 people sign it. It gets ratified by 50 countries, and then it becomes law. And then nuclear weapons will be illegal. No country with nuclear arms supports this treaty, though. But its power shouldn't be underestimated. Nuclear nations may cling to their bombs, but they will increasingly become outlaw pariahs like North Korea. The weapons will become delegitimized. It also promises to affect vitally important public opinion. And as some philosophers say, public opinion is the most important determinant in society. It's more important than, it's the ruler of society ultimately, whether you are a democracy or a dictatorship. However, we mustn't make the mistake of thinking this treaty is enough. And I'll quote Rotblat to make this point. And this is from his Nobel Prize acceptance speech, which he accepted that along with the Nobel Prize for the Pugwash Conference Institute. This is Rotblat. He said, "I've argued we must eliminate nuclear weapons. While this would remove the immediate threat, it will not provide permanent security. Nuclear weapons cannot be disinvented. In a nuclear weapon-free world, should any of the great powers become involved in a military confrontation, they could rebuild their arsenals. The danger of the ultimate catastrophe would still exist. The only way to prevent it is to abolish war altogether. We must learn to resolve disputes by means other than military confrontation, and will require developing a new loyalty to mankind, or I would say humankind. We have to become world citizens. Prospects for this new loyalty are now better because fantastic advances in modern communication techniques." Oh no. Wait a second. Well, you have to know how to use the techniques. And my printer was broken, so I need let me see. I'm really sorry.
No, it's worth the wait.
Okay, I'm getting close, sort of. Maybe this is it. Here we go.
Try swearing.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Try pen and paper next time.
I like to edit too much. It would take up a tree. Well, this is really strange.
Shake it again?
Yeah, right? Oh, whoa. Okay, I'm not going to close it. I'm really sorry about that. Okay, almost there.
The cyber gremlins were let loose by the dogs.
Right? Okay. Okay, I found it. Okay, so, I'm going to just start in the middle of that paragraph from Rotblat again. He said, "The only way to prevent it is to abolish war altogether. We must learn to resolve disputes by means other than military confrontation, and it will require developing a new loyalty to mankind or humankind. We have to become world citizens. Prospects for this new loyalty are now better because fantastic advances in modern communication techniques," as long as you don't touch it. "These modern techniques allow us to learn instantly about events across the globe. Technology is driving us together and we are becoming like one family." Psychologist Erich Fromm, I say Fromm, but it's probably Fromm. Psychologist Erich Fromm was another 20th century peace giant for nuclear abolition. He wrote about the other great peace leaders, Russell, Schweitzer, and Einstein, and he said what defined them was their faith in the power of reason and their intense love for life, or as Fromm calls biophilia, as opposed to necrophilia. And he says that people that really love war are kind of necrophiles. Fromm also warned our grave dangers are being facilitated by robotism and obedience. He wrote, "Human history began with an act of disobedience, and it is not unlikely that it will be terminated by an act of obedience. When people act like robots and obediently follow orders like machines, this is dangerous. Starting nuclear war requires not just a mad president pushing the button, but also obedient soldiers to follow the launch orders. It wasn't only Truman that dropped the bombs. We're taught obedience is a virtue. Yet, what if following an order or law conflicts with your conscience? Fromm urges we resist becoming robots by obeying our conscience and disobeying inhumane or unjust laws and orders. A statement repeated by Russell and Rotblat was, 'Remember your humanity. Remember your humanity.' One definition of humanity is the qualities that make us human, such as the ability to love, have compassion, be creative, and not be a robot." That was dictionary. I was like, what? Too easy. "Thus, we must remember to love our whole human family and planet with empathy. Ultimately, I don't know for certain if we can avoid universal destruction, and I don't have concrete answers for political action. What I do know is that we all have some power. We can all take small actions, which can ripple around our planetary pond. If there is hope, it is this. We can read, think, write, and spark conversations with friends, families, and strangers. We can disobey social norms and discuss peace wherever we go. Raising consciousness and progressing public opinion is extremely important, especially by informing the world that nuclear weapons are becoming illegal." And that's what someone said that was discussing this abolition, or this treaty to abolish nuclear weapons. Even when the United States may resist and not want to get rid of its nuclear weapons, it's really important for public opinion to come along and say, hey, let's catch up with the rest of the world. And we can also donate or participate in many peace organizations like OMNI and many others. There's many organizations working to abolish nuclear weapons. We can support the Marshallese Nuclear Zero lawsuits most simply by signing their petition at nuclearzero.org. We can participate in events like this as well as protests, and they may include civil disobedience. For those of us that resist robotism, we have creativity. We can create ideas that never existed. All great social evolution started with one creative idea, inspiring first a small group of people. As Margaret Mead said, this is the only thing that ever changed the world. We must boldly face the hard, cold truth about nuclear madness. We must embody prayer in action instead of praying quietly alone at home. This very event and this very speech is such an active prayer for peace. Above all, we must resist despair. And I'll conclude with Dr. King's Nobel Prize acceptance speech, a quote from it. I'm sure you've heard it, but I'm going to do it anyway. King said, "I refuse to accept despair or the idea that man is mere flotsam and jetsam in the river of life, unable to influence the unfolding events which surround him. I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I refuse to accept the cynical notion that nation after nation must spiral down a militaristic stairway into the hell of thermonuclear destruction. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word." Thank you.
Hey, well, thank you. Gosh, that was everything I'd hoped for and more. That's really, really empowering and enlightening in all ways. Donna, can you come back up? We're right at the end here. We have one more musical. Excuse me. We'll do a little rearranging. I want to thank a few people that have been helping out. When this is all over, Donna has put together some punch and tea, and she made some cookies. Nan Yarnell made some cookies.
Brought some cupcakes?
Somebody who brought cupcakes? Jane Scroggs. Oh, how nice. And actually, Lisa, where's Lisa?
She's back there getting it ready.
Oh, okay, all right. Lisa Orton is back there and
So don't run off.
is helping us out with getting that ready. So yeah, we can all hang out and talk and catch up when this is over. And also, it's important always to thank Aubrey, who is just year after year, always everywhere. Aubrey Shepard. And then also the Kaminskis, Hank and Joanne. The Peace Crane has been, from the very beginning, has been, it's getting a little weathered over the years, but that thing has been on every march we've ever done. And it's a part of the Hiroshima Nagasaki remembrance year after year. And this year, of course, being indoors is kind of odd, but still we have it here. So some things never change. And I'm so pleased to have him. Speaking of which, that's kind of an interesting transition. Don and I had the great honor of, when Hank Kaminski's Peace Sphere was being built, he called us up before it had been delivered to the town center, and it was still in the shop. And believe it or not, there's a little hole in the bottom, and you could open it back then. Now it's all sealed up. And he invited us to get inside that thing and play music and explore what it was like to be inside the Peace Sphere. And so we spent well over an hour in there, and we took some instruments from around the world. I had a Japanese ruin that my mother brought back from Japan, actually. And it was on that instrument that I wrote a chant called "May Peace Prevail on Earth," which of course are the words written in every language on the Peace Sphere and also on the Peace Pole here at the Unitarian Church. And so we're going to do that, and it's becoming a sort of a tradition. I think we've done this at these remembrances 4 or 5 times now, so some of you might actually know it a little bit, because it's not just us.
It's easy. It's "May peace prevail on earth."
The lyrics are "May peace prevail on earth," which is actually a poem by a Japanese poet. And and we also would like to ask Jamie. We're going to collaborate with Jamie White on this, and we don't know exactly how it's going to unfold because we're going to improvise. This is a very loose piece that can go lots of different directions, and you're a part of it. Jamie's going to be a part of it, and Donna's going to help out. And it's a very solemn feeling, kind of a chant of sorts. And so, let's see. I don't even think we need to rehearse. I think we'll just do it. And when you feel inspired to start singing along with us, I want you to help us out. What else am I leaving out? Gladys, where are you?
Y'all are awesome.
Can you think of anything I have not said that needs to be said? Okay. Oh, I know one thing. Because some of you are probably wondering how you can find out about gong songs. I think that, Jamie, do you have some brochures?
Brochures on the front.
There's some brochures out there by the entrance, so, because I would highly recommend that myself, so.
And actually, she has 4 gongs when you go to her studio. It's really cool.
And thank you all for being part of our peace community, and we really appreciate you all being part of our OMNI family, and let's do this many more times. And so, like I say, we don't know exactly how this is going to unfold, but we'll just trickle into it. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail on earth, on earth. May peace prevail on earth. On much. Thank you, Jamie. Very nice. Thank you.
All right. Refreshments will be served.
No, I'm not going by. I'm talking. I'm ordering you.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm getting really close to.
Good to see you, my friend.
You too. Thanks for being here. You're everywhere, as they say.
Good to see you.
for a fourth term.
Oh, yeah, we are too. Just keep them in forever.
Just keep him healthy. What are you thinking?
So what we're doing, we're up to last year on the archives, but I have like 15, 14, and 13. Well, 16, the last 4 years. And what I'm trying to do is just get like maybe 5 to 10 pictures from only the main events, like the annual get together, the peace, the garden tour, this. You know, like maybe 3 or 4 just to put in there.
And your life partner,
I will.
Chuck going to supper.
Okay.
I enjoyed hearing
I just get loud on
That's good.
but it is sincere.
That's
I'll try.
I just wondered if there's a way, like if I could go, you've got it all on Flickr, right?
Flickr, yeah.
But couldn't I log in and just pick the ones that I want? And
Yeah.
I could do that. I just need to know how to use Flickr, right? And Susan can help me with that. But I can print any pictures that you have. Okay, that's, I know it'd be a huge project, so.
Just go back. I've got so many events.
I know. I'll probably just get all the ones, the major ones. How are you doing?
But they can't.
Where were you from originally?
Oh, I'm sorry. Very hard.
No, I think